Opinions are made, not measured. About the illusion of free opinion. Written and read by Bernhard Kutzler. People believe that their opinion is free. They believe that a referendum or opinion poll measures the free opinion of the population. They believe that through a political election, a parliament is filled according to the free will of the voters. In the following, I explain why none of this is true. What is an opinion? This word comes from the Latin word opinionem, which means conjecture, belief. What is your opinion about your mother? Where does it come from? It comes from your experience with her. After all, you have known her for a very long time. Maybe she is strict, maybe warm, maybe always honest, maybe sometimes she fibs. Do you know whether a trait is genuine or a mask? What is your opinion about your neighbor? How much of this opinion is based on personal experience? How much on gossip? What is your opinion about nuclear power plants? Unless you're a physicist and biologist, your opinion comes from what others say or write. Your opinion about nuclear power plants is based on hearsay, and you don't know whether there is someone competent at the beginning of this chain of hearsay, or whether it is someone who wants you to believe this or that. This applies to all topics. Even competence is no guarantee of truth. Here's a personal example. I am a mathematician and nutritionist. I followed a diet for 36 years. I promoted it in lectures and seminars and wrote a book about it. But 2 years ago, I realized this diet had made me sick. Despite all my supposed competence, I now know from experience that much of what I did, said, and wrote was not the truth. See also my articles, Knowledge is not the same as truth, and I was a vegetarian for 36 years. Then this happened. One's own experience has the advantage of absolute certainty. Arthur Schopenhauer. Your opinion is not free. You believe what you have learned to believe. Your opinions come from your parents, your teachers, your schools, the media, and all the people you have spent and spend time with. You have been and are constantly being programmed by your environment. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. With this insight, you now have a choice, and this is a free choice. Either you remain a robot and do, think, and believe what you have been programmed to do, think, and believe, or you free yourself from these programs. This begins by accepting that over 99% of your opinions come from programs. You can find out more about how you can free yourself from your programs in my articles. How and why the question, "What am I?" is important and magical, and how to become what you truly are in 7 steps. Even if your opinions come from being programmed, you should be able to express them freely. This is not only a basic human right, it is a prerequisite for humankind's collective mental growth, because this growth happens through conflicting opinions. Unfortunately, this is no longer the case in our society. The term political correctness expresses that it's no longer about truth, but about what the politically powerful define as correct. Political correctness is an instrument of power. The root cause of why we cannot express our opinions freely anymore is a destructive concept of freedom. We've been programmed to believe that we are free if we can do what we want. This equates freedom with power. Wanting to be free is a natural need. The power-based concept of freedom turns it into a collective quest for power. This quest destroys humanity from within, because it inevitably leads to a global power pyramid in which almost all people are enslaved and only a few pulling the strings. I reflect on this in my article, There is Only One True Freedom. Finally, this topic also includes the measuring of opinions. The most accurate form of measurement is an election or referendum in which everyone expresses their opinion. Using statistical tools, opinions can also be measured by surveying only a so-called representative sample. Although the result is not precise, it is useful in some situations. However, the measurement itself influences the result. Here is an example from the German book So lügt man mit Statistik, How to Lie with Statistics, by Walter Krämer. First, a representative sample of workers was asked, "Do you think that all workers in a company should be in the union?" The result was 44% in favor, 20% against, 36% undecided. Then another equally large and equally representative sample of workers was asked, "Do you think that all workers in a company should be in the union? Or should it be up to each individual to decide whether they want to be in the union or not?" Now the result was 24% in favor, 70% against, 6% undecided. This seemingly insignificant addition to the question almost halved the approval rating. The type of measurement, for example the wording, can significantly change the result. It's like in quantum physics. There is no objective measurement. But even if we could measure opinion correctly, it remains that the opinions are not free expressions of people, but come from social programming. The result of a political election depends on how successful the campaigning parties were in programming, manipulating, indoctrinating the population. And some parties successfully used the help of mass media or social media. Ultimately, it's all about power, usually the most popular currency for power, namely money. Free will is an illusion. People want what they have been programmed to want. They believe what they have been programmed to believe. And they vote what they have been programmed to vote. More in my article, Do We Have a Free Will?